What's good, YouTube? Y'all know what it is, man. It's your boy Tank be Choppin, and we back with another haircut tutorial. And on this video, we gonna be doing a taper and a scissor trim on top. Without further ado, let's get it. Alright guys, so as y'all can see here, I'm saturating the top of my client's hair, getting it nice and prepped basically for what we're gonna do. We are gonna be doing shears on the side also, so I know a lot of y'all aren't used to doing shears on the side or even used to seeing me do shears on the side, but I'm gonna be doing a little bit of shear work on the side, but I am gonna do some clipper work because we are doing a taper. So I'll show y'all more and I'll talk to y'all more about that when I'm actually doing that, but right now we're just saturating the top of my client's head, getting it ready to go ahead and attack with that shear work. So now what I'm doing here is I'm gonna bring up a section and I'm gonna be cutting off about half an inch or so. Like I said, he just wanted a small trim. He comes maybe once every month or maybe even every other month. So it had been a while. So we're just cutting off about half an inch. And as you can see, every section of hair that I pull up has a little bit of the previous guideline. Not a lot, but I have a little bit of the previous guideline. And that's basically what I'm gonna be using as a traveling guideline. Normally, I like to set in my guidelines like a mohawk type guideline, but on this haircut I didn't do that, and the only reason for that was I was just in my zone. I wasn't really thinking about setting that guideline in. I just knew exactly how much hair I had to take off, and I knew that I'm going to be taking off about half an inch throughout the head, so I can kind of eyeball it without using a mohawk section, and it'll still be even on top. So as you can see now, each section that I bring up is having a little bit of a previous section that I cut. So it lets me have some type of guideline so I know about how much hair that I need to cut off. And then right now, I'm just doing the same thing to the opposite side. And I am using the reverse hand technique with the shears here. Don't try this if you're not, if you can't do it, it's fine. You don't need to do it. I just do it because it's easier on my shoulder. But now we're going to be doing the opposite side, going into the side, the parietal ridge, a little bit below the parietal ridge. So as you can see, each section that I'm bringing out, it has a little bit of the guideline from the top of my client's hair, and anything longer than that, I'm making sure that I cut off. So that is basically my guideline going into the sides. And then in the back, he likes to keep the back a little more bulkier. So we're just making sure that we pull out the hair a little more before we take it completely down. And I'm not going all the way down to like the bottom of the taper area with the shears, because I'm gonna take care of that with some of my clipper work here in a second. But as you can see, that had a lot of overgrowth there. So I wanted to make sure that I trimmed all that down. And now I'm just gonna be doing a little bit of shear over comb, basically just getting it all down to that length, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's the same thing. Anything longer than your guidelines, you want to make sure that you're cutting off. And that's basically what I'm doing here. Only difference is I'm doing shear over comb now instead of just doing regular shear work. But it works exactly the same, guys. Don't let it fool you. Don't get confused by it. Anything longer than those guidelines, I'm just making sure that I cut off. And now I'm just doing a little bit more shear work right here. So as you can see, he likes to part his hair. He doesn't put an actual part in it, he just parts it. So I needed to make sure that I debulked that a little bit before I blended that. But now I'm taking my Gamma Cyborg and I'm setting in my initial bald guideline. And I'm gonna set this in a rainbow triangle, semi-triangle, semi-rainbow type shape, because I want to preserve some of that C-cup. And also, I'm not going too high with this taper. We're doing like a mid-low taper. And since I got the trimmers in my hand, I'm gonna go ahead and line him up behind the ear already. You don't have to do this now. I just like to do it because it puts my work in the frame and it lets me know what needs to be cut before I actually start cutting, if that makes sense. So once we get this nice shape over the ear, we're gonna move on to our next step, which is taking that shaver, and I'm gonna get the bald area down to that razor length. And then now we're gonna actually start blending. So actually what I'm doing here is debulking with my number 4 guard, blending into the work I previously did. So I'm debulking and I'm doing a little bit of blending also. I'm blending into that shear over comb work that I did, and I don't want to go straight up into the hair because then it'll take off too much hair. So as y'all saw me do there, I am floating my clipper, and that's going to help me give more of a tapered effect and not so much of a blunt cut. You know, he doesn't like it so like squared off, if that makes sense. So I have to make sure that I'm floating my clipper. That way it takes off the amount of hair that I want taken off, but it doesn't look too blunt with the overall finished product. And now what I'm doing here is taking my number 3 guard and just coming right below what I previously did with that number 4. So I'm just coming right below that, basically following it up, following the same shape, just getting it down a little lower so I know that I really only have to blend until number 3. And I think that's one of the major keys here, guys, is debulking with that 4 and that 3, because now I know I only have to fade into a 3 instead of thinking like, man, I gotta blend all the way up into all this shear work. And if you think about it like that, it will be a little harder thinking about having to blend it into shear work. But if you think like, oh, I only gotta blend it into a 3, that just seems a lot easier. So that's why I like to do this before I actually start blending. But now, as you can see here, I am going in with my clipper lever all the way open. I am using the Instinct X from Stylecraft, setting in my next section in the same shape that I created my initial bald section in. And then as y'all saw me do there, I closed my lever halfway, and now my lever is closed all the way, attacking that bottom line. My next step is my number 1 guard lever open, following the same shape. And as y'all can see, I am using a slight flick out motion, and I am using the corner of my clipper. And the reason for that is I don't want to take off too much hair. So I'm just blending into the bulk of this haircut, trying not to create too harsh of a line. And now the next guard that I use after my 1 guard is my number 2. My lever is open. And now basically what I'm doing is blending into that number 3 and that number 4 that I previously did. Now, in theory, they should be blended perfectly. However, it's not. I'm gonna have to go back in and do a little bit of detail work, but at least it's not as hard as me thinking like, man, I have to blend this 2 into this shear work on top, right? I really only have to blend it into that 3 and that 4. So I went in with my 2 guard open and then closed. And then now here I am reverted back to my 3 guard. And I'm just doing some cleanup work here, you know, just trying to debulk it a little bit, make it blend a little better. And now I am gonna be doing a little bit of blending shear over a comb. And I just like to use the blending shears because I don't wanna take off a lot of hair. I'm just trying to take off, like attack certain points in the blend that look a little dark. So certain points in the blend, I'm coming in with my blending shear and just kind of like point cutting with the blending shear. And that just kind of softens those lines up, softens those dark areas, and makes it look a little more gradient, gives a little more gradients to the cut. As long as you're not just hacking at the hair, I think you'll be all right. But now what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna go ahead and line up my client C cup, and I am using the Stylecraft Flex. Once again, guys, if you want to purchase any of these tools, I do have the discount codes in the description. But for Gamma and Stylecraft, you can go to their website, use my discount code TANK10, or you can search these tools up at Fort Worth Barber Supply website. That's fwbarbersupply.com. And once again, on that website, you can use my discount code TANK10 also, and you will save yourself some money. But going back into the C cup, as you see me doing here, I'm just taking my time. I'm not rushing. I'm taking off a little bit of the hair at a time. And that's fine. You know, don't rush this part of the haircut. You know, C cups are really important in my opinion, especially when they're keeping it dark. So with that being done, now I'm gonna go ahead and start off the front of my line, the front of my client's hairline, setting in my initial line, and now I'm working my way over to that vertical bar, working my way over little by little. As y'all can see, I'm just taking off a little bit of hair with each tap. And now we're gonna hit that vertical bar up. Make sure we got a nice straight line there, and just tap that C cup a little more. Now I'm going back in and doing my detail work. So when it comes to doing detail work, guys, you're gonna use whatever clipper or whatever guard you feel is necessary. So I'm going in with my number 3 guard here, once again, lever open, and I'm gonna be adjusting my lever as needed. And I'm gonna be doing a little bit of down fading now, just trying to clean up these dark areas. I'm really not doing a lot of blending. I'm just doing more of some cleanup work. And it's fine to go back down through all your steps backwards if that's what you need to do to get that haircut to look right. But after that 3 guard, I decided to go in with my 1 guard lever open. And as you can see, I am adjusting my lever, doing some lever play in this part of the haircut. And as y'all can see, the blend is looking better. However, there still are some discrepancies that I'm gonna make sure to take care of. Here is my 2 guard, doing some lever play once again. And as you can see, I'm doing a couple strokes, and then I'm pulling the clipper away to see basically what the clipper is doing. And then now that that is done, I'm gonna do a little bit of more blending shear over comb, thinning shear over comb, whatever you wanna call it, just to make this blend look a little more softer. And now that that is done, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the opposite side of my client's head. So as you can see here, guys, we're gonna be doing the same steps. I'm debulking with my number 4 guard first. Combing that hair down, making sure that I feed that hair into the clipper. So if you don't feed the hair into the clipper, sometimes it'll push the hair out of the way. So what I like to do is sometimes I take my comb and comb the hair into the clipper. That way it actually gets the hair down the way I need it to. All right, so now that that is done, I'm taking my number 3 guard. And I did speed these clips up a little bit just because, you know, we're going to move a little quicker. We already saw me do all of the steps on the opposite side. I just wanted to show y'all me going through this whole haircut. So we did the 4 on the side, then the 3. Now I'm taking my trimmer, setting in, lining them up behind the ear and over the ear. Now I'm setting in that bald guideline. And once that is set in, I'm going to go ahead and take my shaver, get all that down to that shaver length. Now I'm going in with my clipper open, setting in my next guideline, blending that section out. And then once this is done, I'm gonna move on to my next step, which is my 1 guard lever open. And once that section is in there, I'm gonna close my 1 guard. Try to take away that line right there. Now we're moving on to the number 2 guard, open, blending into what we previously did, blending into how we debulked earlier with that 4 and that 3 guard. And we're just using a little bit of lever play here, trying to get this part of the blend to come together. Here is my 1.5 guard. Now, I didn't use the 1.5 guard on the opposite side, but I just felt that it was needed on this side, right? So I went ahead and used it on this side just because I felt that I needed to use it. And that's how it works sometimes when you're cutting hair. You don't have to do the same exact steps, but if you have pretty much the same type of blueprint, you'll be all right. So even though on this side, I used the 1.5 guard and the opposite, and on the opposite side, I didn't, it's still gonna come out right. You know what I'm saying? I still got the look that I was looking for. But nonetheless, now we're moving on to the lineup, as y'all can see. Making sure we get these lines nice and sharp. Make sure we put that C-cup in there. We want a nice curve to that. And now we're going back in and detailing. So this is my half guard or my 0 guard, doing some detail work. Clipper open, adjusting my lever as needed. And now we're gonna move on to the back. So we're gonna be basically doing the same thing here, guys. This is my number 4 guard, debulking into the bulk, you know, debulking into the hair that we did earlier with the shear work. Well, basically debulking into what we did, into the shear work we did earlier. So that was a 4 guard, then my number 3 guard. Now I'm going in with my trimmer, setting in my bald guideline. Here is my clipper all the way open, setting in my next section. And then once again, we're gonna blend that out. So we're adjusting our lever close little by little, working our way down. 1 guard lever open, setting in the next section, and then we're gonna close our 1 guard and start attacking the bottom of that line in that section. And once that is done, we're gonna move on to our half guard, because there was a little bit of dark area still in the bottom of that part of the blend, so I'm going in with my half guard, adjusting my lever closed as needed. Here is my 2 guard trying to blend into the bulk. Now you are gonna see me go to a 3 and a 4 guard, and that's because I needed to use the 3 and the 4 guard. So after this 2 guard, I'm moving to my 4 guard, as y'all can see here. Basically just doing some blending work now. So I debulked earlier, and as you can see, there were some darker areas, some discrepancies. So I had to go on my 4 guard and my 3 guard to make sure that the blend looked right. You know what I'm saying? You wanna make sure that blend looks right. And now we're reverting back to the 2 guard, lever open and then closed. 1.5 guard open and then closed. 1 guard, once again, open and then closed. Trying to get that to look right, as y'all can see. And then I'm gonna go ahead and reline them up on this side because I saw some hairs hanging over the lineup, so I wanted to make sure that I clean that up. But now we're moving on to some enhancements. As you can see, we are adding some Temptation by Kiss. Just a little bit of these enhancements to make sure that the haircut looks a little sharper. The hairline looks a little sharper. Now, he doesn't need enhancements, but I wanted to add them to the haircut to make this haircut just pop a little more, you know what I'm saying? So that's what we're doing here. And now that that is done, we're gonna go ahead and do our razor work. So as you can see here, we're going over all these lines with the razor, going over everything we did with the trimmer, every line we put in there that was nice and sharp. We're making it even sharper with this razor. I said that twice. We're making it sharper with this razor, just making these lines pop. And I think you should do this on every cut. Some barbers don't do it, but me, I do it on every cut unless it's like a little kid and the little kid's moving a lot. But the majority of my clients, 99.9% of my clients, I do razor work too. But y'all check that blend out, man. That taper looks nice. You know what I'm saying? We put in some work on this cut, man. Now we leaning the client back, taking over the front, going over the front of my client's hairline with that razor. But check it out, man. This is how my boy came into the shop looking. This is the before look, as y'all can see here. Had a lot of hair, man. And this is the finished product. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this haircut in the comment section. If y'all like this video, please make sure to smash that like button. Also, if you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe one time for your boy. Remember, guys, if you're in the Houston, Texas area and want a haircut from your boy, you can go to my website, tangbchoppin.com. You can book there. If you want me to record it for YouTube, make sure to put that in the comment section and we'll try to take care of that. Also, if you want a discount on these tools, you can go to fwbarbersupply.com and use my discount code TANK10. But with that being said, man, that's basically it, YouTube. I appreciate y'all for watching. Until next time, let's go.